up into it without hurting Milosh's feelings? Because you still call him lovely.
Lovefully pushed back.
Lovely.
With a lot of love.
Full of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Small. Push. Full of love.
No thinker. No love there.
No thinker there.
No love lost on the thinker side. Border. Break it down for me.
It's a map that has been in the map pool for, well, not for a while now, but before it was removed, it has been in for quite a while.
Yeah.
There has been some changes to the map. Nothing too major, however. I think the biggest change that I can come up with is either the bathroom and tellers area, which suddenly became a lot more viable as the bathroom has been extended outwards.
It did.
Extra exterior stairs have been added, and the armory has slightly changed, which gives you an opportunity, as Azami gets banned so we don't get to see Fabian's wishes, gives an opportunity to not be prone to the repel window, the sandwich window repel that we sometimes see.
There is also the change inside the big seating area where you now have that little extra walkway around the side towards break.
Yes, you do.
It gives you a little bit more width, a little bit more swing. Border is aggressive. Border is sort of fitting that void that Coastline disappeared with when they were swapped out into each other's places in the map pool, and we haven't seen a huge amount of it. Obviously, back in the day, Border lived up to its name, the Boar bit, because we saw it all the time. It, alongside Oregon, were two of the big staples that we just kept on seeing, and then they were both sort of shelved for a bit, understandably, make some space, test out the other maps, and then bring it back. And we haven't seen a huge swing into it because, well, it's still quite aggressive. It's still quite thin. It's still, you know, it doesn't quite have the same stretch capabilities that the current meta plays itself really well when, where you can sort of, you have to, if you want to play a stretch, see a lot of this map.
Definitely so. And the map, you know, whilst it has changed quite little, a lot of new operators have been added. And I think that's the biggest change indeed. Like, suddenly a lot that worked back in the day just simply doesn't work now anymore, because there's just many different opportunities to start dealing with it. A mirror is often an operator we did see on this map, especially on the top floor sides. But that's actually starting to disappear a little bit as well. People not bringing Mira that many times anymore. Of course, Curly, unplayable.
Oh, Sens, hey?
Yeah,
the
Sens
one
instantly.
speed. As you can see, a bit of a hefty pace as they make their way towards the game itself. They're going to see if they can, I guess, try and roll some of that gadget, because what we actually saw earlier today in one of the earlier games on Villa, one of my favorite executes so far with the Sens combined with the Candelas of Ying before. It wasn't ultimately successful, but it got the kit down. I love seeing what people do with it.
It's good to see teams trying to figure out how Sense works and what they can achieve with the operator, because of course hasn't been in quarantine, whereas Azami has been, and you know, teams had the opportunity to try it out a lot during the scrims. That time is a little bit more limited with Sense, so you see it being tested on the field a little bit more here and there, and as Shin is trying to sneak up on these back stairs here, but also keeps his eyes up on towards the teller's area. It seems like Ramo might actually be going for a bit of a nade onto the half wall. That should be a kill, but no, Rin manages to survive, takes little damage.
It's a bit of an awkward angle to try and get yourself that sharp. They're tucked around the corner. There's already some damage done towards it, but FAV, they're sort of flying a flag instantly of pressure. They're trying to put down the markers and sort of say, well, this is where we're going to approach from, this is where we're going to approach from, and this is what we're going to make uncomfortable. You want to get clarity above. You have to do a bit of an armory clear here if you want to go for the vents plant, and yes, as the first of the game, Typon is off the board. Retake CC just slips past and fires a bit too high, but you can see 3 players stacked outside there. They have the chance of pulling away via break, but without an impact, they're not going to be able to get that hatch without a bit of support. The Sense has rolled all the way down to the cover of the door. Yas has been able to find his slip round. He has the rotation round onto Fountain. That's supposed to go through. That second one does. And now he's found a bit of safety. There's the pop. There's an easy take. They did not know he had got through the net. And he goes for one more and he finds it. Damon Kia open with a triple from Yas there. There's Katsang to get one more for the road. And here, FAV barely able to get into the building.
A flawless round to start it off. Wonderful from Damon Kia here. They took some small amount of damage early on from the grenade on Rin, but after that, yes, just being able to sneak around on the CCTV area. Gets one, just not caught off, but got himself in a bit of a tricky situation there as he tried to sneak back out. And then just a lack of information for FAV. Not being aware of where he is, he picks up 2 more kills. And, you know, it's only a matter of time until Damon Kia is going to be able to win that round as a result. Now we're headed up towards the top floor, though. It is the site that we saw most back in the day when Border was around the first time. The first rotation through the maps. Starting to get played a little bit less now. Partially due to Workshop being quite good as well, but especially the Bathroom Tellers starting to gain some traction as well. Good shots from him.
He was the MVP of Play Day 1.
I mean, he's such an incredible player overall. It's like he's always performing. It's like,
well,
rarely he doesn't.
Well,
yeah.
Recent major stints hasn't been the best for Yas. And obviously you look at the roster and it's a very good roster. Now, Yas in Sweden major was fantastic. It was defining. It was the defining moment for the DK modern roster. I think it sort of threw them into the eyes of the global scene, and Yas was a big part of that. He had all the excitement that is thrown around to some of the best adventurous players ever. It carried on for a bit. It sort of dipped towards the start of this year, the first split, and obviously no showing at Charlotte, and then that sort of build-up. We didn't quite have that full Yas effect. Him hitting the boards running is very important, I think, for Damon Kia to sort of surmount themselves as the top dogs of the league.
Especially since there is no playoffs currently. They unfortunately lost out in the playoffs up against APAC South, where the majority of the spots did eventually go towards the southern side of APAC. Now they don't have to worry about that anymore. All they need is a top 2 finish. Slapping quite close here, actually, to taking a gunfight. Of course, the other player is right behind in the sandwich, but the drones should be able to provide some spotting soon towards the set position. And as the wall gets opened up even further, there's definitely going to be a telltale sign of what's to come.
Now, one of the things that we saw before was a bit of a lack of intel on where the players got to. Obviously, a tight rotation netted Yas at least 1 definite extra kill, maybe 2 there on the spray through onto the fountain, and it was a bit of a tricky moment because, as we said, this is a very aggressive map. Border is a fast-moving map, but it's kind of thin at points and places. You have to be in a position to capitalize on the intel that you've got when you've got it. FAV, they're doing a lot of the same setup as before. They're getting themselves some clarity of the space. They've opened a bit of width here. The Aruni Gate to stop the true progression down long towards 90. It's going to buy them a bit more time here, and it means they're not just going to be able to get at any player on the corner. They have, obviously, the alibi as the spray through, so it's also going to get them caught. I'm not sure if there's a shield there as well, tucked on the corner. There often sometimes is, but doesn't seem like it's set up. It's Yas, though, that's in another aggressive position on sec.
Needs to be very careful, though, of not someone just pushing through in the balcony or up on that window. And as some openings are starting to be made, he's well aware. Now let's jump in. That's another free kill for Yas, a second entry. But here's someone up on a rappel as well. Knows some pressure is coming in from the break room side, so needs to make a decision now of where he needs to strike.
Well, Afro going down 90, he's able to get 1. Takes Cat Sang. There's a spray through. Doesn't quite know which target to aim for. In the middle, nets nothing. There it is. Afro with a cheeky double gets himself dug in. Woogieman just slips back into the site, but takes a huge amount of damage here. FAV, they've netted a kill, but they have 30 seconds to see if they can try and net the remaining 3, or at least get that kit down towards the site itself. Stacked up against Coded on the smoke. There is some pressure coming through on the opposite side. They have the 1 extra man, and they're going to try and utilize it to draw one of the players away. There it is, though. Swung all the way around. Wins the gunfight. Ramo, a huge and important take. Nobody to instantly stop this kit going down. Shin tries the long arm C4. Caught off. And, well, it's Rin now off the board as well. Woogieman is all that's there. Ramu catches them off, and FAV take it over.
Not going to be able to get the plan down, unfortunately, in the end there, but a round win is way more important for them. So, well played by them. Good usage of that smoke, as someone was indeed present near that small cubby, near the small side office. Often someone either on the desk or waiting prone to fire at your feet as you walk by. So using that smoke to get rid of that line of sight really allowed them to push through quickly, make sure that the player up close was taken care of, and after that you can go for a plant. So well played by FAV. Good take onto CCTV as well. Yes, of course, able to find that entry. I'm not sure what the jump in was for. Again, that was a bit questionable, but they at least recovered themselves from it.
Again, it was that moment where it looked like wrong intel. It looked like they had an idea on something, but it was slightly askew, and then they threw themselves in for a jump in, and they suffered the price of it.
Yeah.
But the important thing there, as I sort of highlighted in the first round, was they acted upon intel that they did have. The take that came instantly afterwards towards the fight onto 90. The call that, well, we at least know where this player is, let's put the pressure onto there. They picked up a double from somebody trying to get the revenge swing, which was the pressure they could then apply onto Yas. But it was that response that Border needs and respect is pace. There's, you know, a window of how long you have information that's hot for. And on Border, that is like cut in half. That time is very, very narrow.
The thing about that top floor side is as well, as soon as you lose control over CC and Cash, they can just cut the side and middle, right? It's impossible to rotate through because they will have that 90. They can open up the wall, and suddenly, if you're on that side, you need to defend it with your life because you're the only hope your team will got. Quick opening, I believe that was in the east stairs there. Would have gone 6. Ramo now putting up some pressure onto the break room door as well. Needs to be careful to not actually get swung by Rin. Because Rin is also, you know, looking to bring back a little bit of the fire that we've been seeing missing.
Ramo gonna go for the stretch around onto the Armory side. They're trying to pinch the player out above, but it again means you've got to try and get a balance of where everybody is. Rin has the support of some of the structure. The mute jammers and the catch on the grenade is going to buy them some extra time. They're just sort of hoping they can catch a loose firefight here, but otherwise it's still a drone game. The push comes through against Yas up top on Armory. They're going deeper and deeper. FAV, 2 of them going for the single take. There is Woogieman as a backline who's starting to heftily hit with that big rifle, but no true catch, and it allows Yas a bit of space to try and pull themselves back. Instantly, FAV move into the space behind them. They know they've got some territory, and they've got to make sure that they keep it. That's the important part, and the pressure will come down onto Rin themselves inside break. Pre-firing, but it's Woogieman that gets locked out above the hatch. They keep pushing. Ramu gets revealed, and now they're above the site itself. A very quick swan song over the top floor.
It's problematic that you've lost that area of the top floor so quickly, and Rin now being up top here as well might be hunted down in just a matter of seconds, so the right call to drop down and head back towards the site. The big issue though is they have that verticality. They can start working it, they can start improving on it as well, so they need to retake some ground or at least waste some time. And I believe that's exactly what Rin wants to do.
That's it. Rin's now in a position up here just behind that reverse shield. The pressure's coming onto the site. They're inside, and they're going to go for the plant. Just tucked ground on the other side of the bathroom. They're entirely taking over here. The hatch. I mean, it was a risky play to go down, but they read that there was no one there. Coated and Rin find one apiece. Rin over the top potentially could be a huge retake as Yas is eyeing it up as well. No. They set themselves back ground onto the stairs. They're being watched, though, on the steady approach. There's the Flores drones, which keep rolling in from outside the window. I think they're just leaving those and letting them lie on the kit itself and making sure that nobody can try and get their hands to it. You can see Shin is driving, opening up the angles. Less than 20 seconds left. Number 2 takes one, gets revenged by Coed. He's over the top. Rin swings round for the first fight. Can't quite find it. And it's Afro that locks it in. Shin with the cover from the window, and FAV find their second on what seemed like an empty site.
I'm not quite sure there. I mean, they did take control of that hatch. You suddenly do have a lot of the bathroom under control as a result of it. And you know what? They droned it. Fair play to them. They decided, you know what? We can go for the drop. There's no one in there. We can go for a plant. We can hold it vertically and make sure we take the win afterwards. So well played by FAV there. Well read into the defenses of Damon Kia, who are now heading back towards Armory Lockers. We're not going back towards the workshop that was won before. Instead, think they can change the pace here, change the momentum back into their own favor.
I mean, to be fair, it was a very well put together bit of aggression there. It's FAV seeing opportunity and taking it. It's that lesson that you harp on however many times is sometimes you just got to act. Sometimes you got to try and play into the space, see what opportunity is in front of the players, and then go for it. And they did. They did expertly. They cut themselves in, got the kit in that position in a post plant, especially one that seemed to take Damon Kia a little bit by surprise. I think they expected a bit more back and forth before it came through. They then quickly had to go for the retake over the top. It was semi-successful in that they won it out, but then eventually lost. You know, and it's just because FAV put them in a high-pressure environment without too much time to get a true reading on everything.
The Monty being brought out now by Typon might actually slow down the attack just slightly, but remember of what I just said. As soon as you lose CCTV and break, the site is basically ball not lost yet. You can still win your gunfights there, but reinforcing the side is becoming a lot more difficult because there is going to be that tall angle which they can hold and cut you off from if they do decide to try something. So with that Monty, it's very easy to actually push people out of plays, especially if they're playing alone with little to no reinforcements on their name.
Now at this point with Damwon Kia, you can see they're trying to piece together just where things are going wrong, but this was a site where Yas's hold was a big drive, and whether FAV are going to utilize the Monty to cut that game in half. They're eyeing it up as a bit of a blunt force tactic here. The spray comes through against Rin, they're holding on to these stairs, been off for very long. There it was, and you saw it either side of the top of these stairs and Shin underneath. FAV just made sure that they had every single route out wrapped in. They're not going to fall for the same mistakes they did in that early round against Yas. Now the Monty, top of the stairs, is able to get a bit of intel. Coated is going for a pretty daring rotate round just to make sure they have a crossfire on that Monty so he can't have a clean entrance into office.
Sound will definitely be heard though, as they should be aware of the fact that someone is inside the sandwich area there. Our Secret Heroes are coming in, potentially to open up bigger rotates, at least allow the Monty to just walk in, having to unextend that shield. That is, of course, going to be very detrimental if that's going to be the case. Smoke canister popped. Someone left in the pockets of Coated here. There is also some Zofia concussions and impacts being shot, so the pressure is definitely going to be on. He's trying to go for a bit of a push there, but it's the Monty that's currently inside. Needs to worry because there's a second player, and he's coming around the corner with a shotgun. Gets that killed, but Monty still lives, though.
The impact over the top. He's doing everything he needs to. The smoke canister's going to make this very awkward, but he took a gamble, and it did not pay off. Afro gets an important take, but there goes the Monty. Woogieman finishes them off. It was the bravery of the smoke that bought them the time, but it's Shin that's fighting their way back in. It's a 2 versus 2. And now they have themselves a bit of an angle. They've got the sight lines down towards the site. They're locked in onto Armory. There's a separation here from the guns of FAV. They have obviously some clarity. They've forced a backline, but at this point you have to work out how you can try and break your way into putting the objective down. And, well, without Damon Kia giving any territory away, it makes it awkward because you're either going to have to try and force a fight a bit earlier or go for a 2 versus 1 and hope the kit stays well down. And that's not easy in a site like this where it's generally just a long rectangle across the board with a lot of sight lines already set up. Here, Shin, they're probably going to open up the soft on close, or maybe the mirror, the Maestro. No, it's the soft they're going to get. So they have a breach. They only have 10 seconds. They know where the push is coming from. The flashes come through. Line down. They get the second blind off. They're going for it. They dig in. 1 versus 1. No time left. The ping's on the hot camera. And Kasang cleans it out.
Well played there in the end, but it started to get really close there. They got so aggressive as soon as the Monty jumped in, just trying to take gunfights with every single person at the very same time. And even when the Monty died, still trying to over-aggress even. Brought it back to a 2-on-2. And at that moment, I was like, okay, you know the last two currently are inside of Armory. You have break room under control. You can hold the rotate. They cannot get back into the site. The issue, though, was how is Thermite going to get into the site? Like, it had no safe way. The soft walls were opened up. We'll probably need to go for a breach. It could be that mute jammers will be blocking that from happening, and you don't really want to go for a window jumping at that situation, at that moment in time. So FAV, you know, they still had a lot on the cards to win that round when Damon Kia went that over-aggressive in the end. Fortunately for Damwon, they managed to hold on, though, and bring it back to a 2-2. And with that, we are headed towards round 5. Back towards the bottom floor.
I mean, it's back and forth, but it's scrappy. And as you said, with the play around the Monty, it was really the heroics of the smoke that was able to at least find one over the shoulder, do some damage, buy some time, and sort of force a bit of awkward movement into the play of FAV, whether it was what was needed to get rid of the ability to get through on the breach or not. Either way, the Monty then being picked up, you know, if that smoke was in the same position where they were before, if they hadn't have been where they were and were still in Fountain, that wouldn't have happened. The Monty would have been able to keep themselves solid, maybe bait it out bit utility, but most importantly, you assume they would have been able to tie that with the severe charges and get that office wall open towards the other plant. Here, you can see Damon Kia are still trying to piece together just how they can rebuff FAV, because FAV keeps scratching. They make sure that they keep trying to find pressure, and coming down to a 1 versus 1 in the situation is still, in a way, credit to FAV.
Yes, but they did have the opening kill. They could play it a little bit more patiently. I'm still confused why you would go for the jump in with the Monty in the end. It was just well played by the smoke, going for that daring rotate. as mentioned before as well. But with that, next round is underway. Kota takes a lot of damage here through the soft wall whilst making some rotations towards the workshop. Now, as we see that happen, the rest of FAV is trying to take control of that top floor. And that's kind of crucial because there's a lot of verticality that is to be gained, which could have been lacking beforehand. So just the flawless round on the side of Damon Kia didn't really help them in their endeavors of getting close to the building.
Well, they're trying to put the pressure onto CC. There is a player a little bit loose underneath of Woogieman. He has some options with the shotgun, but obviously without anything else in terms of a C4, nothing else. The drive through Office, they lose a player instantly. Yes, trying to rotate their way back round. They're going to swing round. They just missed the tail of a player. There's another one out on the balcony, caught on the drone, sprayed through the soft, and yes, torn apart. He dove deep to try and get a bite back out of FAV, but they had works going on around him. And another hot drone game, another hot kill. Woogieman bites back. As I said, he has some options, and he's able to at least make one of them work. You can see Coded is pretty injured. Rin is the only one trying to hold on to the vertical, at least for now. And with a minute on, they're going to take the time to drop down.
At least drop down into the server rack. Might still be able to go for a bit of contest there onto the actual CCTV if they do decide to move in. No, completely dropped down now. So no more being able to fire down on anybody walking into the armory. Shin is looking through these verticals that have been created, hoping to find any of the Damon Kia players, just so they can turn back that advantage to 2 people against. Just a little bit more safe for them.
So, not going to fully breach that hatch with a single Selma on it. Just going to open a bit of the width that they have the option to. Obviously, they still have 2 exothermics in pocket as well. They just want to make things uncomfortable for the team they're up against here and force them into slightly different positions. Rin has found one of those. Rotated around on the side, but not for very long. Shin had the catch. There's the second. Shin lines him up. There's third for the round. Looks for the fourth. Almost finds it. Goes in with the pistol. But Woogieman is able to get some lockdown. Handful of seconds left. They're going for the stick. The smoke. Is it going to get the catch onto Afro? No is the answer. Definitely injured, but the plant is all that mattered. Now they have a 3 versus 1. Now FAV have their 3rd round.
The 3rd round indeed, and they have the opportunity to go for 4. Quite interesting play there, going in with a pistol after that, not trying to slow it down a little bit, but it might have been a distraction move as they went in for the plant. So, you know, sometimes a bit of greed could actually help out your team in the end of things. 2-3.
The greater good.
The greater good indeed. As Damon Kia trailing by a round, headed back towards the bathroom. Tellers. And the last time we were around here, quick top floor control taken by the side of FAV, then completely abandoned the bathroom site, which led to a plant, which led to almost a complete shutdown of the remaining forces of Damon Kia, who couldn't win the round in the end.
I still love the pace that FAV are applying to this.
Yes, definitely. It's like, so far it feels like FAV definitely had the better of Damon Kia in the map ban phase.
It's just, it's relentless to a degree. They're making sure that every single time there's a bit of movement, they're at least moving around it. They're being active. They're trying to close down the space between them and Damon Kia players as quickly as possible, or, in the space of it, objective, as well as being sort of, I'm not going to say hyper-aggressive, but definitely actively aggressive towards potential gunfights, as we're seeing the movements of especially Ramo and the play that he was making in the previous rounds. They're also looking towards the site at the same time. They're also looking towards how they can play that objective at the same time, being able to get the kit down a couple times across this, even when there's a lot of players still standing or ending in a firefight, shows a team that is fully tuned into the job at hand.
More so controlled aggression that they're bringing. They know what they want to achieve with it. They just explode on these small parts of the map and manage to overwhelm Damon Kia, at least so far. Shin outside the window of the tellers, just hoping that he will find potentially someone who's still making rotates, doing some site preparation there, and finds them an early entry, because that makes your life a lot easier when you do decide to go for the execute at the end of these next 2 minutes. This FAV that needs to get some control. Again, verticality is going to be key, so that is what they're currently trying to work on. Bar Shin, who is still outside this window, and drones and information are going to be absolutely crucial.
FAV, if they can try and find themselves on 4-2 here, I mean, it's still border, it's still finding its face, and with Castle on the board, obviously Noah's Army is the conversation we had before, but it gives at least defend us something to work with. It could just be enough to force them over the edge and see what they can do with it. Here, they're going to once again lead in. Multiple guns going for this fight. Do they know the player tucked in round? Apparently not. Woogieman gets in one, gets one down as well. In and amongst it, they're still under bouts of pressure. Finds the drone, a third player. Are they going to go for the pickup of the fight? It seems like they're angled over the top. Just misses out on the connection, but look at the other players coming up. You've got Yas coming up the main metal stairs. Typon finds one in the meantime. Yas gets Shin. It's a lockdown. It's only really a couple of players around the chaos of this. Afro's trying to offer everything he can, but at this point it's a very tough pickup to an impossible pickup. Number 2 is not going to get found via that route. Goes for a big rotate. Caught on the cam that wasn't actually active, so he's okay, but now it's dropped. They can assume the position. Wow, they're probably not going to get to him in time. Now it is just a 4 versus 1. 50 seconds this time. It was locked down primarily by Woogieman. He was a bit of an untested variable inside office, and he's kind of caused a big headache here for FAV.
Ended it off as well, got the opening and the closer in the end. It's actually funny to see how Zofia, first one to get injured, actually one of the last to die there. Everybody trying to go for the recovery mission was being picked up, and Zofia being able to survive that until the very end. And with that, we have an equal side. It's 3-3. We're headed towards the armory lockers now with FAV on the defense rather than Damon Kia. So this is where the differences can be made. Who is going to be leading into this half? Who is going to be reaching that 6 mark first and have the opportunity to fight for a full 3 points? That's the big question.
It's kind of tricky to gauge right now because I think both teams, they've had a fight. I think from a team dynamic, I've seen a bit more from FAV, but Damon Kia never wants to be locked out. And it's a game of 2 halves. It's a game of sort of bringing that balance on either side. And are we going to be able to see that same thing? If, you know, FAV, you've got to look at it. If I'm going to say it's a team effort, it's hot drones active ahead of gunners that are pulling things together. You don't have that so obviously or so actively in terms of your defense, unless you're really playing an echo and trying a game. It's a lot of intel, sure, that you can pass off to them, but it's less hunting, more kind of avoiding and hiding. And that's something that Damon Kia are very good at shutting down.
That's it, right on the defense. It is often trying to get around things and provide a bit of support when a gunfight is going through. Whilst on the attack, it's prematurely to get all those kills. Either way, we're getting into it. And Damon Kia, of course, maybe one of the most experienced teams, especially internationally, currently in APAC North. They want to get back to those majors. They need a top 2 spot. And if you look to the right top side of your screen, you see that they're currently in 4th place on those live rankings. So they desperately need a win to get up there. And that is an RC that just managed to escape its death and opens up that shield, which brings a bit of opportunity to cut down the top 4.5.
The little drone that could. And I guess, if anything, it shows you how thin this map can be. Rolled all the way from a bit of distance outside, inside, up a set of stairs towards the core of the hold around that side of the site. It's just what border is. It's very quick trips towards the danger zone, and here they're going to see if they can try and apply the pressure. Gridlock, not the most common to be seen, but a control of space is very important on this map, and with Nomad off the board, you've got to have something to stop and cut rotates in. There is the Goyo, the hot pockets to try and just, I guess, slow down the pace that might swing round. It's a long burn, and 20 seconds, it only gets longer the closer you get to the end.
I think the Gridlock is actually, you know, yes, it's more obvious, but there's more just jumping down as Yas is in and gets the entry kill, finds Afro, and instantly wants to continue to cut down at metal stairs or to rotate back towards the armory side.
Well, he now has his route through. He's going to put some pressure onto 90 as well and get himself a little bit of wiggle room and width down to the swing and hope he can find something with a bit more range. They're not overstating FAV as of yet. Shin stepped in, but Woogieman has stepped up too. Takes care of Ramo on the far side. And now it's down to the pressure onto Office. They have a bit of a crossfire here. Typon's offering some support round, but they know that Yas is loose. And if Yas goes for an aggressive swing here onto 90, he'll be right behind it. The pressure is coming through now towards the site. The wall gets popped open. Just the impact doesn't play off. Well, that's Typon going for something hyper aggressive, but they've popped off for their own. Yes, Yas on the swing. I assume he took that around 90, around the backside of the player there on Fountain, and there's one more. It is just that last remaining stent, but they are ripped out. Damon Kia find their first attack.
Second flawless round. The first one was on their first defensive round. This one on the first attacking round. So it definitely seemed to be starting strong. Now the big ask of them is to continue that strength, continue the momentum that they have been able to build up. And let's see if they can carry that on towards the bathroom teller's take as well. Now, I'm going back to Gridlock because it seems like Woogieman is again bringing her. I wasn't quite done with my point yet, but then Yas rudely interrupted me with getting the entry kill.
He did. Yeah, he does that.
He does that quite a lot. But Gridlock is actually, if you look at the gadget and the guns, pretty good operator. I mean, you get 3 track stingers, which cover more ground than an air jab would. And yes, as I said before, it is more obvious than the air jab. The air jab you can hide in like a plant pot or something like that, and it will still catch you. But it takes a lot more time to get rid of the track stingers if they fully deploy. You also carry the LMG, which
I've heard that pretty good.
I've heard they're in this current meta pretty good and prevalent. The only true downside to Gridlock is that she's a 1 speed. So if she would be to speed up by just 1, if she becomes a 2 speed, suddenly I think we would see a lot of Gridlock coming up.
I think Gridlock as an operator is a drive towards a role of the gadget, which is a strange thing to say in a gadget-based game, but if you're bringing a Gridlock, you know exactly generally where you want to roll those track stingers. Other ops are sometimes a bit more malleable, I think, in terms of how they can throw their gadgetry, which is why you don't see her as often. Obviously, 1 speed as well in this meta is you feel 1 speed. It's all the things that have been said about Sands, all the things that have been said about Gridlock. You feel a slower operator in this meta.
You definitely do. After almost losing his life there. Just barely escaping, headed back up these metal stairs to find a bit of safety up on that top floor. Ramo now debating as well to whether or not stay here, because essentially the only one that's carrying the, or basically covering the first floor flank towards the objective.
They have themselves angled in with a similar approach as before, but they don't have that early strike against the player. Shin, however, is under a lot of pressure. They have somebody on AC. They have themselves spread out here for the stretch and the grab, and there it is. Afro finds 1, Ramo finds 1 back. Headed up the stairs, and they're going to rotate off, but it's an Oryx. They can always find a new place to hop up and cause some other dramas and problems. Katsang with the control here over 90 as Rin is the next to find the fight, finds the Oryx, and Taipon finds Rin. It's trade for trade underneath. They're at least able to keep biting back, which they couldn't before. Coated. Oh, they just get the final catch there onto Taipon. They almost suffered on the other end of that. And now it just leaves these 2 players stuck above the site. It's a slow creep towards where they're at. They have an idea here, and Coated's going to make a bit of noise on the swing round. There's the player inside Fountain, fires a bit too high. They don't truly know where that player is. They're tucked in. Shin in a hyper-dangerous spot hits the first, and, well, they weren't paying enough attention. The track stingers, they're able to pop their way around. The players survive a minute 10, and instead DK's going to focus on the site. They realize it's cold, so they're going to make it a little bit hot and dangerous. The smoke canisters block off the sight lines. They double rotate round towards the site and suddenly into post plant, and suddenly it's just number 2 left. Coated finds his third for the round and finds himself looking down the barrel of a smoky gun, so instead pops out, but not for very long. Damon Kia find 2 for a row.
Surprised they didn't actually go for the side earlier, but well played, they did it in the end anyway, because, you know, there was still 2 players up top. Of course, could be an information issue there, them not really realizing both are there, but as soon as they did find out, all right, there is 1 still in Armory, there's 1 in Archives as well, because we heard that one before, we can go.
Because they had the positioning there, it wasn't the defenders taking advantage of them, it was them set up for an engagement there just as much as they were set up ready for the 1 in office if it played out.
All I took away from that is there's 5 Batmans.
A lot of Batmans.
5 Batmans that are picking up the FAV players from the
So many Batmans.
But yeah, Damon Kia able to find and target these players individually rather than needing to approach them as a group, as the trades that are there. And yes, of course, trades do still happen, but eventually you're out of manpower, and you're going to have to take these 1v1s or 1vx's, which is exactly what happened in that last round as soon as the diffuser went down. A 5-3 and a team kill comes through.
Oh no!
With this, okay, listen up. In Taipon's defense, the ITA-12S is not supposed to kill people. It's absolute garbage.
In his defense, he had also already shot a hole in, and then the Valkyrie ran in front of him.
Yeah, so it's like
he had started the process of that rotation, It wasn't as if it was the first shot that killed number 2. It was the second shot for that rotation. That is entirely the Valkyrie's fault. Any Valk mains out there trying to be like they should have been paying attention? As a Valk main myself, no.
Maybe number 2 was thinking as well. It's like the ITA 12S. All it does is like 10 damage.
Yeah, I can take the 12 damage.
Yes, spotted here. Opening up some extra holes on the Frost type on. This might be going on a bit of an adventure there soon, seeing if he can actually go for the pickup. Shin also spotted now by the second drone. So 2 players of the 4 remaining. Positions are currently known by Damon Kia.
Well, it's not the best thing to happen after attack timeout, but if they can try and clutch this out, it'll give them a lot of energy. And, well, now they've only got the option to try and win a 4 versus 5. I'm not even sure if the Valk was really able to loose their cameras before they were removed from the board. Here, more of the same pressure that comes through. Woogieman, he played it cautious. He didn't want to hand them the freebie and kept himself crawling, but Ramu's holding the angle. Oh, and once again, they know there it is. There's that game that they play so well, a 5 versus 3 now. You could see they had the ping a little bit high, a little bit late around the side. You could see some bullet traces actually came through from elsewhere before the lockdown. Woogieman, one more. And yet again, he's able to strike inside the heart of this game, 10-4. And I said he clutched out rounds before, but he's driving this one. There's Coed and Yas to lock it in.
Is that another flawless round?
I don't think they get the technical pop-up because...
The team kill, but...
The team kill.
Either way, I'm going to write it down as a flawless round because they didn't take any losses there. It's 5 kills again going their way. And again, I like the Gridlock use. They just shut down parts of the map, and even if they lose a player there's no way that FAV could bring back the aggression. Not that they lost anybody, but it's there, and it's kind of keeps them stuck in their positions. They can only peek that doorway, not swing the hallway, whilst you're focused on the player that's down in 90. So I kind of want to commend the use of the Gridlock here. I'm pretty sure we continue seeing that for the remainder of this matchup. Whereas Damon Kia currently on to 6 versus only the 3 rounds of FAV. Is FAV going to be able to go for a comeback here? Because they started off so strong. They started off quite well. For the first 4 rounds, it looked like they were in control. And then DAMWON, you know, bar that first round where they had the flawless, were able to somehow bring it to a 3-3. But now they're just running away with it. It's just 2 flawless rounds. Of course, the team kill didn't help, but you cannot blame everything on that team kill there. It's just a single kill. Everybody still got picked up 1 by 1.
I think that's it. From what started as a back and forth to go into 3 straight rounds in a row and 3 convincing rounds in a row. And okay, the middle of the pack was a bit of a back and forth, but they still had a 3 versus 2, and then they still had the map control. You know, you got to have a lot of map control to go, oh, well, let's stop trying to hunt these guys. Let's just go and plant. To do an entire rotate, because they were actively hunting that fight, and they suddenly, all 3 of them picked up and headed back to the kit. That is map control, and that is what Damon Kia have absolutely flaunted in the face of this on the second half. Now, FAV, what can you do to try and stop it? Rin's going to be a bit of a drive in here onto the main door, see if they can try and catch out the player just around the corner. There's the drone, there's the reveal, and there's a retreat. Number 2, they were out very early last time. They don't want to make the same mistake, but I guess, well, they would be at someone else's hand this time.
Possibly, yeah. Now, these frost mats could actually be catching off some of the players if they do want to go for a ventilation plant here. It's a good drone there. They know exactly someone is inside the sandwich there. A grenade will surely be bounced in very quickly here to get rid of Shin, hoping that he has some nice magnet set up for himself here. Should be well aware of his position. That has been seen and spotted now as the drone came around the corner. So he's just going to try and hold it close.
That's it. It's a well-known power position. It's a place where you can get caught by well-placed frag grenades. They're going to burn the disc. It's going to play just above. Swung around and sprayed through. Caught the first. Rin has the refrag coat. It has the cover onto Afro, who tried to swing around from the admin side itself. There it is. Ramo inside Fountain. He's trying to at least keep some of the piece in the control. The kit is left, and they're going to go for a rotate. A very well-coordinated strike there onto those single players, and now they're going to see if they can try and retake a little bit more of the top floor. No. A change of idea here, and this is something Damon Kia do well. They're going to pick up sticks, actually find Ramu round on the back. Whether that was just a push or the fight on AC, seemingly, that puts them in a 4 versus 2 for FAV to see if they can hold on to this game.
Pretty sure there was a rotation that was being covered off there by Rin because they knew someone was still around the fountain area. You don't want him to get back in, and as Typhon gets a good shot off, it is going to be a 3-on-2. It's still possible for number 2 and Typhon to try and clutch this out, and as they're both together here on the A bomb side, it's actually a plant that was about to be attempted right here, but it changed their mind as Coda just goes off, gets the kill instead, but now gets pushed, however. That's a diffuser down with 40 seconds left on the clock, and number 2 slipping into the bathroom.
Well, he's able to take a big strike there. The man who was moved off by a team kill before could be the reason the team stays in it at this point. You can see they have a ping and a rough idea on the player. The track stinger is going to cover one side of the movement, pulls off the gun at the worst time. But he has been excellent all game, and all the way to the finish, Woogie Man is the man of the moment, and Damon Kia are the team that takes the full 3 points.
Bit of unlucky timing in the end there, but still the LMG back up in time to get that final kill, hurt the glass break, and finds the final frag. And they continue their tradition of winning against FAV, as they did so in the last 3 matches they played against them.